I'm starting my living room renovation in this video. It's been a very long time coming, and now that I'm finally here, it almost doesn't seem real. Meanwhile, the snow that kept on coming is starting to melt again, and nature's going through that boring stage outside where everything is muddy and wet and icy and grey all at the same time. And I guess that's the same for the start of this new project. I have to trudge through the leftover jumble before I can start making actual progress again. Remember this little big room which I worked on about a year ago? And I finished it with a wardrobe, shoe storage, but I never actually finished any of the trim. This door looks absolutely horrific, but I don't think I can change that right now just because of the weather. This has also turned into an absolute dumping ground for packages, recycling, trash. It's almost as bad as the living room, which is the room that I'm going to be working on next, and it's filled with things that really need a place. In the meantime, I do want to finish this because it just really bothers me that this is supposedly a finished room and it looks not very good. So I'm going to start moving things around and finding some solutions to these problems. So I have a few small projects to finish first. It will help create some storage, clear the space. I will be sharing all my plans for the living room a little bit later on. Share some drawings and reference images so you'll know what I'll be working on this coming, well, who knows how long it will take. But first I just need to get these tasks out of the way. I feel as though not only this room but also my head is cluttered and I feel overwhelmed about the prospect of this new project. It's been this big thing looming in the background, so I'm hoping these pre-projects will help me ease my way into the bigger and more important one. What I would love to do is actually turn this back wall here into storage, because I think it's the only place where I can create something. There wouldn't be much of it. Obviously there's two doors here, so it would end up having storage at the top and right here in the middle, but it would be something. The problem is that I don't have the materials to do this, and that's the downside to not having a vehicle to quickly pick up materials, so I need to find another solution. So I've been just adding some of the trim to update this boot room. There's still quite a few more details to sort out, but at least it's starting to look a little bit more clean. I'm also putting up the hooks I got recently, so I have somewhere to hang things that are in the way. Now, I also have this, and it's not much, but I have a slither of storage here, and I'm going to put in shelves, because that way I can use it. I was thinking I could put paint buckets in here, but I really can't put paint buckets in here. It's too narrow. Ah, this is useless. I'm still going to put shelves in it because I'm sure I can put something in here That needs to be hidden. Something ugly. I have many ugly things. 390. Another way of dealing with some of the items in the current living room is actually using them. I've been meaning to use this thing in so many spots, but I made up my mind. It's going up here. First, I wanted to put this in a greenhouse. Then, I decided to put it here in the kitchen. After that, I wanted to make it part of my library bookcase, then changed my mind because the stain is just too different from the rest of the unit. So it's going up here again, and yes, that does mean that I'm just creating more open shelving space, and I need closed shelving space, but it does allow me to move things over and reorganize. That's the idea. I bought this about 6 months ago for this purpose already. So that was easy. Okay, I hate this. I truly dislike this. It's so messy. And you can't even see the ladder bit anymore. It's almost impressive how this ladder idea is just consistently not working out for me. I just watched this YouTube video of this Korean house being built from scratch, and I don't know why, but it borderline made me cry. It was just beautiful with all of this like huge large scale pieces of joinery being put together, and I just kept thinking, how could I adjust this in a way that I could do this by myself? Anyways, in the meantime, I've cleaned this room to a degree that I think I can work around what is left in here, which is sort of amazing because I almost didn't feel like that was a possibility. A small sad thing is that I pretty much lost this little entrance that I made pretty. I mean, I can use the drying, but I lost my access to my other room. There's no shortcut anymore because I decided to move most of my tools in here, so most of the things that are left in the room are just my miter saw, an oven that I bought 2 years ago and never installed, and wood. I am officially starting this living room renovation. It's actually happening, who knew? The day has come for my living room renovation. I'm just going to have to not think about things too much and just get started. I can do this. I'm starting with the ceiling. Ceilings are the bane of my existence, but it's going to not be fun, but I'm going to do it because it needs to happen. I'm going to take up this cornice. It's horrible. It's not the original either. I mean, I've been covering the original. I hate making things more ugly. This has been put in recently. It doesn't look good. It doesn't fit. It's falling out in places, and I will be replacing it. And then I will be sanding the ceiling.
Luckily, the cheap cornices are not exposing terrifying skeletons, so I'm able to move onto the ceiling. This is such a boring job. It's time consuming and there's also not all that much to film. I'm just cleaning the grooves first before sanding the ceiling, and I try to think about how happy I'll be once it's finally done.
Time for a sponsor. Highland Titles is graciously sponsoring this video, so let me introduce them. So they are a family business based in the Scottish Highlands, and they have been restoring degraded farmland back to its natural state. I don't know if you've been to Scotland, but I went to the Cairngorms and I wasn't really expecting much, to be honest. I took the sleeper train up from London, and honestly I was blown away with how majestic and grand and wild Scotland turned out to be. I was also quite literally blown away because I was high up in a storm in my tent, so yeah. But this is a fun thing. Through Highland Titles you can own a little bit of Scotland. They're on the west coast and they own 4 estates in Scotland, and they sell small souvenir plots along with novelty titles of Lord, Lady or Laird. So you can own a bit of Scotland, and Highland Titles uses the money they make to fund their restoration projects. Over the years they've planted trees, hedges, rescued owls, and they found wildlife coming back to the area. So this is a cute gift to someone who doesn't need things but cares for nature, and perhaps if you plan a holiday to Scotland you could visit your plot. They have a visitor centre and you can spend some time there. Don't get excited, you can't build a house on it, but you can have a picnic. So you can choose plot sizes that range between $30 and $300, and with my discount code you get 25% off. All the information on how it works is on the website, so if you think this could be a fun thing, then have a read through it. And thank you so much to Highland Titles for sponsoring this video. This is also reminding me that I need to fix that wall.
Last week when I picked up the wood for the side table that I made, I also bought a few smaller pieces to finish off this art wall. I don't really like how the 2 pieces of ply sit side by side, so I decided to add another trim detail to the inside. Now I still don't have any art for this. I think it will be like my bookcase. It's going to take a while to fill up or find the right piece.
I would never recommend anybody buy the cheapest version of this machine thing because they are incredibly painful to use. And that's why I wear gloves. I wish they would just sell this stuff in buckets and I could just scoop it out with my hands and just base it on there rather than having this thing. I really don't like this. Can I just start by saying that I'm actually really quite excited to work on this room. I was dreading it just because it was filled with so many things that I didn't know I could get rid of. And just to start a new project is just a bit daunting. But now that I'm doing it, it's really cool. I'm doing a number of things at the same time. Ceiling, walls, floor. I started sanding and staining some of the floorboards so I can start with that as well. My biggest dilemma in this room are the walls. Originally I was going to do the entire house clad in wood, turn it into just like a little cabin or a 70s sauna, according to my chimney man. But I decided to do something different with the walls in this room. However, it's causing lots of issues, so I keep changing my mind and thinking maybe I should just stick to the original plan.
Okay, this is the original plan. I think I shared some of this a very long time ago. As I mentioned, I'd always planned to keep the entire interior in the home the same, clad in wood, to keep this uniform feel throughout. It's not a big footprint. I have several small rooms with many functions and I don't want to overwhelm the space. This little house is in the woods and I wanted to resonate that sense of calm. But as time has gone by, I feel inclined to challenge myself and introduce a new finish. I came across this company which makes plaster-like products that look similar to a lime wash. I received samples and I'm really tempted to use one of their colors on the walls in the living room, but I'm having issues figuring out how best to apply it to my walls.
The problem is that currently there are a couple of layers of wallpaper on these walls. The problem is that underneath the wallpaper isn't plasterboard. There is a layer of Treatex, which is like a 50mm cardboard-like material, which people tend to use in these old log homes. Mine just seems to be fixed directly to the logs. People sometimes get rid of the Treatex, exchange it for plasterboard, or sometimes they put plasterboard or renovation plaster on top of it. But then you have to deal with wherever it meets a window or a door. You have leveling issues. I am not planning on putting up plasterboard. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the loose fitting wallpaper. Okay, this wallpaper is really easy to take off, which is so surprising. And then I'm going to do what they call a broad putty on top of it, which is what people apparently tend to do if they are dealing with a wallpaper that's heavily textured. They basically kind of plaster on top of it to even it out. The thing is that I wanted like a lime wash kind of material on this wall, so I want to create a surface onto which I could potentially do that. There's only, what, 2 layers really. I think this is like a base. This seems like a really thin layer of paper, more like a base layer or something. And then there's this wallpaper and underneath the Treatex. So I think I'll try and take off this, where I'm going to have the plain walls, and apply the paint or the plaster that I'm going to use on top of this, and then hope for the best. The scary thing is that there's a little bit of movement in this tree text just because it's a soft material. So obviously that increases the chances of things cracking at some point, but I don't have a solution for that, so it might be okay. It might not be too bad. So yeah, this is very unexpected.
Beyond the walls, the floor plan will stay simple. This room is going to have all of the relaxation functions as opposed to the study slash library slash work slash dining room, which has all of the active functions. It's a living room with a narrow wardrobe along the back wall and built-in sofas along two of the walls. I'm going to include another pull-out section to create a double bed. It will be the perfect lounge area with a fireplace right in the middle. I might want to do something special with the wardrobe doors by adding another new material, but I haven't made any decisions on the details yet.
What I'm excited about most in this room is that it is going to have so much storage and it's going to fix all of my problems. This entire wall, except for the window obviously, is going to have a wardrobe. So I'm going to build a really narrow wardrobe, about 300 deep. I'm looking forward to that. And then along this entire wall in front of it and this wall, I will have the same banquette thing that I have in my other room, but it will be built to like lounge seating dimensions. It will have drawers running along the entire thing, so there will be so much storage. I am so excited about all of this storage. Yeah, I have no words for storage. On this side, in front of the window, I'm going to create a section of this banquette which also turns into a bed, just like in my other room, but instead of it turning into a single bed, it's going to turn into a double bed. So again, you just pull it out, and then me and all my other personalities have lots of space to lie down and sleep. This final wall, which links to the kitchen and the back entrance, this is going to stay pretty plain. I think I'm going to put some really narrow shelves here for more for decorative purposes.
I think these walls are going to haunt me for a while. I just keep going through the options. Instead of puttying the tree text, I think another option could be to apply fiberglass wallpaper or renovation wallpaper, and then the final plaster or paint finish that I've been looking at. I also don't want the cost to be enormous, but it's looking like it might end up being more expensive than the timber walls, which is a little bit ironic.
Another issue is this chimney. This is crumbling. This is crumbling a lot, especially at the top. This entire like thickness of render and paint is just coming off, and I don't really know what to do with it. So yeah. Oh, and also I got rid of the wallpaper in between this, and there is a giant crack. Well, it's not a crack. It's just a gap in between the wall and the chimney. So I put some insulation in it. I know I'm discovering fun things, but at least I'm figuring out solutions, because that's something that I've just been really worrying about for a long time about this room. I am realizing a few things. One, I didn't have enough filler for all the cracks in the ceiling. I used 1.5 of those tube things and it wasn't enough. So there's about 1/4 of this room which hasn't been done yet. And also, I don't actually have enough paint. So I guess I'll just paint until this is finished, and then I will have to buy more things. Oh well. You know, I'm sort of surprisingly happy with how this is going because I was dreading it so much. I ran out of the stuff to fill the gaps. I ran out of paint. I got rid of most of the wallpaper on these walls, but I think I need to give it another go on what's left here now and try and get rid of as much as possible. And I thought I could actually start on the floor, but the wood I have exactly the right amount of wood for this room. I was hoping that I can make this little middle section and continue this. Turns out that's not the way to do it because I lose too much wood because there's too much wastage. I need to go in this direction. So, which is a little bit tricky because I haven't really prepped enough wood. I'm going to start by sanding this here because there's actually a lot of black stains on it, which I want to take out before I start working on the rest. You know, I thought this was going to be difficult, but that was really easy.